Hello, my name's Alan. I'm pleased you can come along with me today on this little stroll along Southampton Water. So where is Southampton Water? Well, it's where the rivers Test, the rivers Itchen and the River Hamble all combine and flow down through Southampton Water towards the Solent, the Isle of Wight and then the English Channel. It's a lovely part of the country down here and it's a little bit overcast today, a little bit breezy, so I hope the wind's not too bad. But let's have a little walk along and see where we end up. Right, so let's just have a little stroll. I think we'll head down to the water side first. It's not a bad day today, really. Middle of March, spring's on the way. Luckily, the sun might come out today, you never know, might be lucky. So, what you can see behind me, probably a couple of tankers in the oil refinery. There tends not to be a lot of ship movements this time of the day. Early in the morning and late at night is when the cruise ships come in. So what we're going to do today, what we're going to talk about, spring weather. I'd like to touch on footpaths a little bit later on when we get to a footpath, because quite a few people have asked me about footpaths. What's the right of way? Where can you go? What can't you do? So I'll come to that in a bit. Let's just take a while to think about what's going on. I think a nice little walk in the countryside is always a good thing. Gets you some fresh air, gets your thoughts together. All right, we'll carry on a little bit. I'll let you have a little look where we're going. So as you can see, it's nicely calm here. We're well protected from the actual sea. The Isle of Wight over there in the distance really protects Southampton quite well. And also, because of that, we get double the amount of tides here, which makes it very useful for shipping, because they can come along twice as often as they normally would. So things are pretty quiet along here today. Not much in the way of shipping, apart from the Isle of Wight ferry. They make very regular journeys. So what can we see here? Okay, I'm hoping you can see the little red and white red funnel ferry heading into Southampton. Just to his right, in the very distance, there's two chimneys together. That's at Cowes on the Isle of Wight. And a little bit further to the right is the Coast Guard Tower down at Calshot. So the spit of land that Calshot's on really is at the very end of the New Forest. But in the very distance on the horizon is of course the Isle of Wight. So we're not that far away from it, although obviously there's no bridges or tunnels. You have to get a ferry, either the car ferry or a passenger ferry, which is quicker but a bit more expensive. Over to the left is the marshes, very good for wildlife and birds. I don't know what we'll see today, but of course the gorse is out. It's always nice and bright and cheerful seeing some yellow gorse. Apart from a dog walker and a couple of other hikers I've seen this morning, not many people here today. Actually, this little part, which is between, well, sort of towards the end of Southampton Water really, it's actually quite difficult to get to by car. It does involve a bit of walking. So because of that, it does tend to be a little bit quieter. But anyway, that's good for us. We can enjoy the scenery and the solitude. Right, so there's the red funnel car ferry heading in towards Southampton. That would have just come from Cowes on the Isle of Wight. And here we have the Red Jet passenger ferry. Obviously a lot faster being a catamaran, but obviously no vehicles, just passengers. And eventually it will overtake the red funnel car ferry and get into Southampton well before. Before we go too far, I just want to take a footpath to explain a little bit about them for the people that are interested. So I'm just going to double back and head to one of the nice little footpaths. I'll be with you in a minute. So I've had some comments from people mainly outside of the United Kingdom about our footpaths and how it works, because in a lot of places, especially America, they don't really have footpaths like we do here. They have trails and national parks, but the United Kingdom or England, we're very fortunate. There's a whole world of footpaths leading in all directions. Most of them are very well marked, either on maps or with marker posts, and it's not that difficult to find your way around. Some of them, of course, can be a little muddy, such as this one. So I shall follow a separate path that somebody has made to work around it. In general, one shouldn't really stray from footpaths, especially in farmers' fields, because it does damage the crops. And it's really best to try and keep to the footpath where you can. Obviously just here wasn't quite so bad because it's not really disturbing anybody, but nevertheless, you know, we need to take care of things. So if we carry on a little further, you'll see what a typical footpath is like, really. This is a quite well paved one, apart from a few muddy puddles. Obviously we're in the countryside. It's always advisable to wear good footwear, stout boots maybe. You don't really want to be coming out here in plimsolls in the winter anyway. It's alright in the summer. Let's move on a bit further. Right, either side of the path here we've got the marshes. So I'll just let you have a little look over to this side. Probably see the reed marshes there. And very much a similar picture on the other side. But there's some interesting ways that they've managed the water flow over the years, and we'll come up to something a little bit interesting in a minute. So just here you might be able to make out a little concrete hump in the path. Well, that's because there's a pipe under there. Why is there a pipe under there, you ask? I'd quite like to know the answer to that question myself, because on the end of it is a very old, very large centrifugal pump. And this pump is driven, or was driven, by an equally large and old 4-cylinder engine. So I don't know the history of this. If somebody out there does, please let me know in the comments. But obviously it was designed to pump water from the right of us over to the left of us, draining the marshes. Now this must have been very important at some point to have needed such a heavy piece of machinery put in here. So it'd be very interesting if anyone knows any more, if they could let me know. That'd be great. As for now, we carry on along our little path. So how did footpaths come about? Well, I guess they were just tracks trodden by people's feet over the years, and they become eventually a right of way before any sort of vehicle transport that people still needed to get from place to place. And this is how most of the footpaths evolved, although they do need upkeep, and it's very good that they are upkept, because there's some beautiful places to visit, because you're never far from a footpath. Just such a beautiful display of snowdrops and daffodils. What a lovely garden. Well, there's a typical sort of style, just to let probably wheelchairs through, I imagine, but the rest narrowed down so that only walkers with a dog perhaps can get through. And there we are, you see a typical footpath marker giving the direction that you can go in. Very common. Well, there's a typical finger post, which you'll find at most footpaths to indicate which direction to go in. You can't really go wrong. Although it's a good idea to have an ordnance survey map as well, just in case you get a little off the way path.